We welcome in our man, Matt Barnes of NBC Sports California. Matt, appreciate you joining us, man, and congrats on the TV gig, man. It's fun seeing you on a night-to-night basis.
Man, I appreciate that, fellas, and thank you.
Uh-oh. You still there, Matt?
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, we hear you now. We got you. Yeah.
He got the old transfer to the headphone sound right there. I think that's what that was. Matt, I'm just curious your observations here through the first couple of games with the Sacramento Kings. One thing we've been talking about is kind of the difference in defense that we've seen in the first half versus what we've seen in the second half so far.
Agreed. I think that's important. But first and foremost, I mean, they are playing some defense, so we definitely have to credit them for that because, they were at the bottom of the league last year. In pretty much all important categories. So, I agree with Coach Walton. They need to be in the middle of the pack to be taken serious in this tough Western Conference. But, it's as my man Rico has would say, they got to continue to stack days. You know what I mean? This team hasn't been good, with this group of guys on defense. They have it. At least they're getting some sort of defense in the first half, but it has to carry over, obviously, throughout the whole 48 minutes.
Yeah. Matt, yesterday I came on these airwaves and I was a little critical of De'Aaron Fox, and I'm a big De'Aaron Fox fan. I'm a big believer. I call him affectionately the straw that stirs the drink. And with that title and with that responsibility comes the fact that when you're in games against Utah and Golden State and some of the upper echelon teams in the league, I need more than 12 points. I need more than 17 points and 7 turnovers against Golden State. And that's not because it's almost a compliment. I expect a bad game for De'Aaron Fox to be 23, 24, 25 points. I expect a bad game to be that. Am I a little off base? Am I being a little too harsh on De'Aaron by expecting him to give more than what he gave in the Jazz game and the Warriors game?
To me, it's not so much about scoring with him. I think the scoring will be fine. He's shown that he's been, one of the top young scorers in this game. It's still early. You know what I mean? I saw Luka had 16 points the other day. That's not what Luka does. So I'm not worried about the scoring side with him. I'm worried about who's going to be the vocal leader on that team. You know what I mean? To me, the last 7 minutes of games, it's too many empty possessions. It's too many bad shots. It's lack of defense. It's lack of communication. Who on the court is going to be that person that settles the team, gets them organized, and keeps them moving so they can finish out the game strong? That's what I'm worried about. I'm definitely not worried about De'Aaron Fox and what he's going to be doing because we all know he's going to be around that 20, 25, 27-point a game once he really gets going. But more importantly, who's going to be that vocal leader that leads that team because they desperately need it. They don't have it.
Is there is that just missing from the roster, period, or you just haven't seen it yet within this team? Do they have a guy who could do that?
I'm new to the team. You know what I mean? I'm new to the family, so I don't really know where that is. But normally, if it's not your best player, it's your second best player. But in this Kings situation, our 2 best players are probably the 2 quietest guys on the team. You know what I mean? And Harrison Barnes and De'Aaron, they're both kind of quiet guys. So we need who's going to obviously have people like Tristan Thompson and Mo Harkless. They're veterans and they can lead in their way because they've been through experience. But to really gather these guys, I feel like they need one of those 2 guys, either HB or De'Aaron, to really be the vocal guy, and that hasn't been in their character. But, hey, maybe it's time to add it.
Yeah. Davion Mitchell, some of the things that I've seen him do on the defensive end against guys like Dame Lillard, CJ McCollum, Donovan Mitchell, even Steph, it's not something that you typically see from a rookie. I know he's an older rookie, but you don't typically see that from a rookie. I know you've heard a lot about him. You're probably even have a more of a keen eye to this because you were a defensive stopper when you were in the league as well. What are you seeing from Davion that makes him so captivating when he's locked up with these guys one-on-one?
I love this kid. I think he could be a star in this league, not only because I don't recall a rookie coming in having this kind of attention to detail and this kind of effect on the defensive end, outside of big men. Normally big men can control the defense, the way he kind of has. And this is obviously a guard-driven league, and every, guard you mentioned, he definitely held his own. So I have a lot of love and respect for this kid just on his approach because normally everyone wants to come in and score 20 a game, and that's how they get their feet wet in this league. But he's making himself known on the defensive end, which is rare, but I love it because it's so few and far between these days. And I really feel like you saw, I think it was the last game where he can score. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I just think you have to get an understanding of the rhythm and the flow of the game, and I feel like that's coming. But to have the defensive presence he's had in this early of the season, it's very impressive.
Yeah. Matt Barnes with us here on D-Lo and Casey on ESPN 1320. You mentioned this a minute ago. You brought up Luka. You mentioned De'Aaron. How difficult is it? And you played, gosh, I think it was like 17, 18, 19 of them. How difficult is it to get into the flow of a season?
I mean, it doesn't take long. I mean, every person is different. But, when you'll see explosions by some guys, and then you'll see some guys start off slow, and you'll see some guys high. Everybody is different, But, at the end of the day, your average is your average, So we know guys like Luka and where they're going to be. And we know guys like De'Aaron. He's proven himself to be, an elite scorer in this league. What I also like, is Harrison Barnes' aggressiveness. Obviously that wasn't your question, but I think he needs to be aggressive. Obviously, he's not going to score 36, 38 every night, but he needs to take those attempts because he is someone that can put the ball in the basket. So I really like the way he's kind of come out this season, more aggressive, more assertive, knowing that, the 1-2 punch between him and De'Aaron are what's going to lead this team on the offensive end, majority of nights.
Yeah. Matt, I look back on your career and I followed it all the way from UCLA into the NBA. And I saw when you got into the NBA, it took you maybe 2, 3, 4 years to understand what your role was going to be in this league and how to excel at it. And I feel like it was probably around the We Believe team where you figured out this is who I am in the league and this is how I'm going to be the best Matt Barnes there can be. And you did that for another 10, 12 years into the league. I look at somebody like Buddy Hield, and I know Buddy Hield has aspirations of being the starting 2 guard and being this guy that gets buckets and things of that nature. But I've always felt, and I know he has aspirations to do more, but if he really understood he could be this spark plug off the bench, this super sub off the bench, that if he could embrace that and excel at that, it might take his career to a whole nother level and give it even more longevity. Do you see him embracing that so far at the start of this season?
First of all, I agree 1,000%. He is someone who is an instant bucket getter, and to understand what this team needs of him, or really what he might be in the NBA. I like Buddy. He's always been a pure scorer to me, but I don't think he's necessarily, when I say this all due respect, I don't think he's a starting 2 guard from a standpoint of his shot selection is a little off. He needs some improvement on the defensive end, but he's working at all that. So I think if he would embrace that Jamal Crawford, Lou Williams, that kind of role, he can be an 18 to 20 point scorer, if not more. The only knocks I've had, because I have been watching him closely now, is just kind of he lets people off the hook too much. He loves to let that 3 go, and obviously that's what the game is right now, but he lets people off the hook because he has the capability of getting to the basket. He has the capability of putting the ball on the floor and making a play. He has the ability, he has the ability to get to that mid-range area and be more effective. But his shot selection and kind of understanding possessions and time and score and shot clock is, that's one of I feel like one of his weaknesses. I think he may know it, or the coaches are telling him that. But I think it's important. I remember Doc Rivers used to say, "Be a star in your role." Yeah. Buddy can be a great. He can be top 5 candidate, if not 6th man of the year. He's that type of scorer. Similar to Jordan Clarkson. It was a perfect example the other night with Utah. It took Jordan a handful of years to buy in, and he was in and out of the starting lineup, but he bought into that 6-man role, and now he is the best 6th man in the game. He just won it last year. So if Buddy can embrace that and continue to work hard on the defensive end, to me, there's no reason why he can't be in that 6th man of the year conversation, but he's going to have to really buy in. And sometimes that's hard for young players because obviously if you start, you're in a different kind of frame for contract extensions and that kind of stuff. And being a 6th man isn't as fancy, but I think it's more popular than it's been in a while. But at the end of the day, what I tell people, it's never about who starts, it's about who's finished. Can the coach trust you on the floor the last 3 or 4 minutes? That's where you want to be. Like I was in and out starter coming off the bench, but for majority of my career, 80% of the time, I'm finishing games, and that's what's important because that's who the coach trusts the most. So obviously, starting is a big thing, and you get recognition. But to me, I want to finish the game. Forget starting because I've seen plenty of people start and not even play in the fourth quarter.
Matt, you comfortable with where the Kings are after 3 games?
Again, I would like to see. The only thing I would say is I would like to see some leadership on the floor. I love how they've, attention to detail on the defensive end. I think they need to continue to get better. But I'd say like from the 7-minute mark on in the fourth quarter in these handful of games, because they're always in games. They could very easily be undefeated right now. But those last fourth quarter, and particularly 7 minutes and under, there's no leadership out there. And again, I repeat myself, there's too many empty possessions. There's too many bad shots, unforced turnovers, no talking on the defense, not that second and third effort that we had in the first half. So, I mean, it's all fixable things. It's all things they're learning, but I definitely think they're headed in the right direction.
Wow.
Man, we got to get you on the video stream one day, man. We've been talking about this for a while. We want to talk Seven Leaves and some of that artwork that you got in the house.
Come on, man. You already know I'm here. Let me know.
Sacramento legend.
Yes, sir.
Man.
Yes,
Sacramento,
sir.
welcome home, big dog.
I appreciate it, man. It's good to be back, man. I've been looking for a real reason to get back out there, man. So I obviously thank the Kings for giving me this opportunity, and I look forward to, helping in any way I can out there.
Yes, sir.
No doubt.
Yes,
We'll
sir.
connect, man. We'll get you on here. We'll talk Seven Leaves and some of the other projects we got going on. You got going on. We appreciate you, Matt. Thanks, brother.
Sounds good, folks. Have a good one.